guys, thank you for joining me today on a brief message of the benefits of maintaining a relationship with the Father. Today there's a lot more chance to be distracted. We have school, work, our families, friends, relationships, but not only that, we have social media, we have video games, we have, well, that's more for myself, we have movies, Netflix, everything's instant. But amongst all these, we have one thing that's so easy to forget, and that's a relationship with our Heavenly Father. The thing is, once we start to forget about our Heavenly Father, we have something that takes his place. And usually it's one of these many distractions. Now, having hobbies, jobs, friends, games, all those things, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. In fact, the Lord wants us to enjoy them. But the thing is, it's when we start to prioritize them over the relationship with our Heavenly Father that they can start to become a God or an idol in our life. And that's where the Father can't give us the grace to help us with these things. The ironic part about this is that the Lord actually wants to help us with all these things. And in fact, he could probably do it a lot better than we can. But when we start to try and figure it out ourselves, we limit his potential to help us with it. And then we start to get angry and frustrated and wonder, why isn't this working out? And that actually puts the enemy in a prime position to tell us the lies such as, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you can't figure this out. And not only that, God doesn't love you anymore. I mean, it sounds silly saying it out loud. But the thing is, that's what happens when the Lord is taken off the throne and we put something else there instead. That's why it's so important to maintain a relationship with our Heavenly Father by listening to the Word just like this and keeping it as a number one priority in our life, and gives us faith to rely on Him in every part of our life. Some of the benefits of keeping the Lord as number one in our life is that he can do things that time, money and stress can't achieve for us. And that's giving us peace, hope, joy and a purpose for our life. Now, I want to give an example of someone who took the Lord off the throne, and that's King Saul. In 1 Samuel 15, the Israelites were warring against the Amalekites as per God's instruction to Saul, as they prevented the children of Israel from going through to the promised land in ancient times. After achieving a great victory, Saul decided to keep the best of the plunder, the livestock, and even the king of the Amalekites for himself and for the children of Israel, putting on an act that he was actually sacrificing it to the Lord. The problem with this is that the Lord actually previously told Saul to completely wipe out the Amalekites and all their livestock and all their people. But unfortunately, King Saul was intimidated by his men and kept all the best for the Israelites. Now, this was the straw that broke the camel's back in King Saul's life and his relationship with the Lord. The Lord, through the prophet Samuel, told King Saul that his position as the king of Israel had been terminated, and he was looking for someone with a man after the Lord's own heart. And at this time, it was a young Israeli shepherd boy named David. The saddest part about King Saul's story is that he started off fantastic. He was a tall, handsome, humble guy from the lowest family of Israel. The Lord promoted him to the highest position in Israel, the king, the first king. But the thing is, King Saul started to get arrogant over time, and even when he was prophesying with the prophets and winning many great victories for Israel, he started to put his relationship with the Lord on the back burner and trying to figure things out his own way. This was when it started to become evident that King Saul forgot how and who made him king over all of Israel. The lesson here is that when the Lord prospers us and makes us shepherds or leaders in school or work or sport or whatever, he also gives us more opportunities to make decisions for ourselves. And that's where the Lord can actually see where our heart's at. It's pretty easy to rely on the Lord when we're at our lowest. We have nothing else to go on and we're just like, well, let's give the Lord a crack. And most of the time, he absolutely helps us, and he's so good to us and so gracious. He wants to get us back to where we were and restore us, just like the prodigal son, to where we were. But the test really comes is when we're comfortable in the positions the Lord's given us, and whether we still rely on him for daily guidance to help perform his perfect will for our lives. Now, a man who was excellent at this was the young Israeli shepherd boy, now King David. In 1 Samuel 13:14, David is labelled as a man after God's own heart. And this isn't because he's some sort of fantastic guy or he's some sort of superhero amongst men. One of the main reasons David was labelled as a man after God's own heart is because he pursued a relationship with the Lord, even after becoming the king. And no matter the victories or defeats David had on the battlefield or in his personal life, He always sought out the Lord as his number one priority, and maintaining this relationship with him, this personal knowledge of who the Lord was. And sure, David made a few mistakes, actually some of the worst mistakes the Bible recorded, but the Lord still remembered him as faithful. Even generations later, the Lord still remembered David as a faithful guy who pursued the Lord as his number one priority. Now, I don't know about you, but I think it's absolutely amazing that the Lord recognised him as this, that he still remembered him as his faithful servant. This just shows the quality of our Father. He doesn't look at what we do. He doesn't look at who we are or what we've done for him or for the world or for anyone. What he looks at is whether we're actually trying to get to know him. And if we do, the Lord will honour us, just like David, for generations and generations to come. And can I tell you a secret? He wants to make you number one. He wants to exalt you in front of your peers, and he wants to give you grace in every single situation, in your hobbies, your work, everything. But the only requirement from us is that we need to make him number one, and to make maintaining this relationship and getting to know the Lord personally as a priority in our lives. And if you do this, I believe the Lord is going to make you number one.